Hi everyone, my name's Brian Davis and welcome to my channel, Brian Davis Scuba. In this episode, I just wanted to give you a review of my dive scooter, which is now 2 years old. So I feel after 2 years I've got used to the scooter and learned how to dive with it. Plus it's long enough because I use it nearly every month, or at the moment I'm using it every week, to go over why I bought this particular model, what I like about it, what I don't like about it. So I use the Suex XJ VR. Now this model no longer exists. Well, it does, but it's called the VRX. That's the one supplied with lithium batteries, but they also have a model called
the VRT model, which is the travel model, and that uses nickel metal hydride batteries, so you can take them on a plane and travel with the scooter. The downside, of course, is you get lower run times, and also you can't charge them inside the scooter like you can do the lithium batteries on the VRX.
As we get going, I've been very happy with this bit of gear, and I'll just take you through it and you can make your own mind up after you've listened to me. The first thing I do like about the scooter is that you can get this little carry frame. Now we dive on dhows every month and scooters just rolling around isn't good. It's quite a simple frame, it's dead easy to secure the scooter, as you can see. So that's a nice little touch. But let's just start. Why didn't I go for one of the other brands of scooter? Several of our group dive with other scooters. I like this because it's a polymer body, it's not aluminium. And I noticed with several of our group that after a while the aluminium starts to corrode. It's coated, it's powder coated, but with the clasps and stuff you see corrosion. I also like the fact that because it's a polymer body, you're not going to get any corrosion around the aluminium shaft connection, which again on my friends' scooters has been a source of problem. They've had to have a lot of maintenance. So this has got a very reliable bearing and we've had no issues at all. Other things that I like, a lot of people say, oh, it hasn't got a variable trigger, you can't vary the speed. Well, I don't want to do that. It's got two speeds, fast and slow. Slow is at 45 meters per minute, which is usually ample enough. Fast is at 65 meters a minute, which helps you go against strong currents. When we dive up in the Musson Dam, very, very occasionally the currents can be stronger than fast can cope with, and then we just use a bit of fin power on fast and it's fine. Now why do I not like a variable throttle? Because if I know what the speeds are and the speeds I'm going at, I know what the battery life is going to be. So on slow at 45 meters a minute, we're going to get at least 150 minutes of battery life, which kind of means 3 dives. And if we go on fast, we're going to get 100 minutes, which is 2 dives. That's if we're doing 50 minutes a dive, of course, and using the scooter throughout. So that's why I like that. I don't find it a disadvantage not having a variable throttle. The other thing that I like is the way that the battery is contained inside. You see there's no clasps, nothing to undo. Everything's done from here, and I'll show you in a minute when I lift off the cowling to show you how I charge and remove the battery. Now some of the features, if you go online and you see Suex's promotional videos, some of the things they talk about, and remember this is a recreational scooter, it's not designed for cave and technical diving, although it could be used. They say this is a really useful feature, where you can unscrew that and put that like that. Yeah, it's nice, but I've never used it. I've never used it, right? I could understand if people are trying to go through tight gaps and stuff, they want to minimise the profile, but again, this is a recreational scooter. So even though they promote that as being a big advantage, to me it doesn't matter. On the back, the other advantage that they say is that if anything gets on the going to the propeller, a big advantage they say is the ease at which the propeller can be removed underwater if it gets tangled, which is a nice feature. I've not had to use it yet, but I can understand why they promote it. And we'll just take the prop off and you can have a look inside. It doesn't come off easy, you've got to do quite a few turns, so if you do need to take it off, you've got to spend a bit of time. And of course, remember, if you're taking it off for water, you could easily drop it. So there you come in there, you see the shaft, you see the array in there, and you see there's never going to be any corrosion around this ring to interfere with that bearing and seal. When you put the prop on, remember you've got to lock it into these lugs. So that goes on. And I find the best way is just to start screwing it on a little bit, then it will clip in just by when you're closed, just by turning it. So nice feature. I've not had to use it yet. One thing extra we did buy was this, where we can mount instruments, computers and stuff. It did come with an end plate which lasted about 2 trips, and then because you can introduce water in it to fine tune the balance of your, again, I can understand for cave divers and technical divers penetrating wrecks why they'd want to do like that, but for me, nice to keep the computer on. I'm gonna make a new end cap now, because just on offloading the boat it must have been a bit loose, or one of the boys hit something, came off, never to be seen again. But to keep this on, I did have to fabricate this little device here because it did keep coming off. It doesn't hold it very secure, so by making that myself, my problem was that falling off. When I solved that problem, then the end cap came off. I want to make a new end plate with a bigger diameter so my computer and stuff doesn't fall off inadvertently, because I'm famous for breaking and losing stuff. And the other reason that I liked this in particular is I think Suex have got the best balancing system, and when we go inside I'll show you. I've got this rigged up slightly negative in seawater, so it means I can clip it off or let it go down when I'm coming up the line and doing my safety stops. And I think Suex has got the best buoyancy control system for scooters in the business. So let's look inside. Okay, so we're going to take the cowl off. When you do take it off, remember which way you've aligned it. And this is a really cool feature. There's just one screw essentially, and the cowl comes off, showing you the battery. Now, you know, not everything, you might think I think this is the world's perfect scooter. The VRX probably is the world's most perfect scooter. Why is that? Because charging the battery is a little bit painful. It's not too bad, but after having this a couple of weeks, I thought, why can't we charge it from the outside? Why don't they have a port? And guess what? On the new VRX, you can charge. Now that came out, I think, a month or so after we bought this. You can charge from the outside. So you just plug it in, you don't have to take the cowl off. Having said that, you're supposed to remove the battery to charge it. I've written to Suex with a couple of questions, and I wrote a few weeks ago and they've still not come back to me, because I wanted to know, could I just charge the battery in situ like that with it fully connected? Now on the promotional videos for the VRX, they say this is an isolator switch, so you should be able to. There should be no charge going from the battery into the motor while you're charging, but I don't know. So what I do when I go on the down trips, after my second dive, I put the scooter up like this, I open the charge port, I undo the connection, disconnect the power cable like that, and then I charge it between dive 2 and dive 3 for the surface interval, and then I just connect it back and go off. Talking about charging, with the standard charger, it takes around 6 hours to get a full charge. Suex do an optional fast charger where it takes 3 hours, and I do recommend that charger because I'm not a fan of charging batteries overnight on a dive boat unattended. There has been instances of fires being caused by lithium batteries, not by scooter batteries so far. So I personally do not want to charge batteries unattended overnight because of a fire risk. So how do we remove the battery? It's quite easy. We just undo those, take off this little plate, which now you can see what Suex have done. They have a variety of these little counterweights for different diving conditions, so you can set the balance and the trim of the scooter up to suit your personal diving preferences. Take these off. You can see I've already disconnected the battery. Remember the orientation of the battery. I put this little arrow on there which points to my power switch, so you know I'm in my 60s, so memory's not so good. So you'll also notice that because 3 of us have got the same scooter, we've all labelled our names on our batteries. And this is my little kind of joke, Bad Diving, because those are my initials. You can guess what my middle name is, and it's not Alan. So the battery comes out. Now this is quite a lump. I've made this little tray that the battery can sit on the liverboard and it doesn't go anywhere. These are not available from Suex, and they're not really available from me either, but it's quite simple to make up and keeps the battery nice and safe and secure. While I'm charging, I just put this back on so we don't lose them. If you just leave them lying around or even in a box, you could lose them. Just like that. And put the cone over. Okay, so this is another little gripe. It comes with this what looks to be quite nice box containing the charger, the O-ring lubricant. They do recommend that you only use Vaseline grease. They say don't use silicone grease or silicone oil. I don't know why. Again, I've written to Suex and they haven't replied. I don't know why. But that's for the O-ring, and we're going to lubricate the O-ring before we put the battery back in. This is the standard charger. That goes in, right, so you just turn it around so it fits in the groove. And that's how you charge it. Okay, as I said, that's going to take about 6 hours till it's fully charged. This is fully charged at the moment, so we're going to put it back in. But it is worth buying the fast charger. I was talking about this box, lovely idea, but I find these clips really annoying because they do come off easily. It's a bit fiddly. It's only a small gripe. I would just prefer a nicer box that's everything's in there, and I keep a couple of extra things in for getting din tanks, taking out the O-ring, the A-clamp adapter. Comes with this nice microfiber cloth. This is something that I've made, you're going to see in a minute. It's a coffee spoon where I've cut the end off. I used to just keep these little spoons in there, but people used to keep taking them. I don't know why, maybe they like the design. So before we put the battery back in, take off the cowl. This is the O-ring. Okay, so I'll just use this at the end to help push out the O-ring, and you can see there it's been greased, but it's got some dust and stuff on it. So that comes out. Before I clean that, I just want to make sure this groove is clean, and I do that again with my little spoon end, and I just go round with the microfiber, and then I just use my finger, just make sure that there's no nicks or dust or bits of sand in there. If you look after it, it shouldn't be like that, right? But it seems okay. Then with the O-ring, just give it a clean. They do give you a nice big tube of Vaseline grease, which will last a long time, because you don't have to smother it, just a small amount on to just lubricate. Right, the Vaseline grease does not provide a seal, it just makes the O-ring more pliable and a little bit softer. Then we go over. And that's in place. So then we can take these off again. Get our battery. Remember, I've got my little white mark to line it up with the switch. That goes down. Make sure that goes underneath. Push the power cable in. And this is where it can get a bit fiddly, getting your hands in to reconnect. And this is what I dislike most about it. It's okay, you get used to it, right? And you just got to get your hands in there and gently oops. Now, I did make this as well, which does help. If it doesn't go straight in and you need to, just put that like that. That gives your hands a bit more room. Okay, so you just fiddle it around a bit. You get a technique eventually. It clips in, and then you just tighten it up, just finger tight. It doesn't need to be more than that. You can take that lift block out, drop it down. You will find after some time you'll actually get used to just doing it like that, but if you do find it fiddly, just make up a little spacer block and that'll help you out. Don't forget to close off the charging port. Back with these spacers on there, and now you see why the plate is shaped like that, because the charging port's there, so you can't put that on the wrong way. Line that up there. You see I've got my sticker there, so I know where to line that up. And then it's a simple way to close. No clasps, just a nice screw down cowl or nose cone, call it what you will. And again, and you can see that is right. And we'll just check that everything's working. When we put the power on, we should got the power on, and we've got our blue light. That will change colour, I think, to red when we've got about 10 minutes charge left. And that's really my only other not criticism, something that I would like to have is a more visual sort of battery state. On the more expensive models, and they are a lot more expensive, you can buy a very expensive control box which will tell you exactly how much time you've got left at current speed. But for me, it's just not worth it for the type of diving that we do. So overall, very, very pleased with the Suex XJ VR. I'm hoping that this lasts for many, many more years to come and gives me lots of enjoyable diving. I would be interested to hear your views on this scooter, and especially if you've got one, if you agree with me or not. Just put anything in the comments or below. You will know I always reply to my comments, so I look forward to hearing from you. And from me, see you next time. I'm Brian Davis. This is Brian Davis Scuba. Please subscribe and hit the notify button. A like would be appreciated as well.